I'm Dick Thorington from the Department of Vertebrate Zoology. I have been here for about 40 years. I came in 1969. I came as a curator of primates, and then actually I moved over looking mostly at squirrels in the last 40 years. The sciurids have a considerable biodiversity and are found on all but 2 continents, Australia and Antarctica. The gray squirrel, shown here, is one of only 285 species. The earliest of the squirrels, shown in the next slide, one of the earliest, was found by Bob Emery's wife Jennifer in Wyoming, and it's really remarkable in that if you saw this as a squirrel out on the mall, you might not pay any attention to it at all. It looks like a squirrel. The difference is in the jaw musculature, in which can be seen in the next slide, in which the muscle inserts up behind the upper incisor there and on the side of the rostrum. That was not nearly as well developed in the early squirrels. You will notice in the X-ray that, like other rodents, they have continuously growing incisors. We have 3 ecological groupings of squirrels: tree squirrels, flying squirrels, and ground squirrels. The most dramatic of these are probably the giant tree squirrels of Southeast Asia, Southern Asia. Here's the Indian giant squirrel, delightful animal. And there are 4 species in Southern Asia of Ritufa. That is a typical feeding posture shown in the right side where the squirrel is eating a nut. In contrast, we go to the pygmy squirrels, and this is Exilosiris whitehead-eye, named for a man, not for the white tufts in the ears, which are so delightful. And these weigh about 20 grams. In other words, they are about a hundredth what the weight of that tree squirrel that I showed you was, which is 2 kilograms. These tend to be bark gleaners, feeding on and among lichens and mosses on the tree trunks. Then we have the flying squirrels. These are gliders, they do not exhibit powered flight. The gliding membrane, called the patagium, is shown here. It is supported by a cartilage that comes off of the wrist and provides the wingtip, which is very important in controlling wing dynamic and aerodynamics. There is showing you another giant flying squirrel in the next slide, but this is the previous slide. But we have 2 or 3 species in North America, some probably within a mile or 2 of where we are sitting right now. However, they are nocturnal, so they aren't much noticed, unless you notice that the supply of sunflower seeds in your bird feeder has gone down overnight. The next slide shows you a ground squirrel. You are all familiar with one of these, which is the marmot that introduces spring for us on the 2nd of February every year. The woodchuck is indeed a squirrel. This is the yellow-bellied marmot, much prettier than our woodchuck, I must say. And this is not recognized as a harbinger of spring, however. The true ground squirrels are shown one of them is shown in the next slide, 13-line ground squirrel from the Midwest in the U.S. These are closely related to the prairie dogs, and the prairie dogs are the most social of the ground squirrels, which used to occur in extensive colonies but have been much reduced by man. finally we get to the chipmunks. And there are about 25 species of chipmunks. These have been well remarked upon, although obscurely by Robert Frost when he spoke about in Mending Wall about something there is that does not love a wall. It's chipmunks. They undermine them and make burrows. So if we look at a map of the world, you can see that there are a large number of ground squirrels in North America, 57. In Southeast Asia, there are 56 different kinds of tree squirrels and 35 different kinds of flying squirrels. In South America, we have only 12 tree squirrels, probably due to a late invasion of the continent with the formation of the isthmus. We have squirrels on all continents except for Australia and Antarctica, of course, and there are none that occur on New Zealand or in Madagascar. Just want to point out to you that starting tomorrow is Squirrel Week. You can read the Washington Post and keep check on that. And are there any questions? Yes.
Is there any chance that there'll be specialties at the local restaurants?
It does taste fairly good, but rabbit's preferred, I think. Other questions? Thank you.